One of the 7 important Catholic social teaching themes is rights and responsibilities. We all have certain rights that are given to us. Some examples include the right to shelter, water, food, life, speech, healthcare, justice, and education. We are supposed to pay these forward and make sure others are granted the same rights we have by maintaining responsibilities to make sure people have these commodities mentioned. We can do that by volunteering, taking care of the environment, and altering things in our daily lives that help others in need.
In the Bible, examples of rights and responsibilities come up often. In the parable of the rich man and Lazarus, the rich man did not help Lazarus when he came to his door begging for food. When Lazarus died, he was carried to heaven, but when the rich man died, he was buried and brought to the netherworld where he was tormented. The rich man begged Abraham to warn his brothers so they would not be tormented, but Abraham told him that if they would not listen to Moses, they would not listen to him. Abraham said to the man, "They have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them." He said, "Oh no, Father Abraham, but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent." Then Abraham said, "If they will not listen to Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded if someone should rise from the dead." Since this man had the privilege of wealth and means, his responsibility was to help the poor man, which was his brother's responsibility as well. The encyclical Caritas et Verite, which translates to charity and truth, says, "The right to food is like the right to water, has an important place within the pursuit of other rights, beginning with the fundamental right to life. It is therefore necessary to cultivate a public conscience that considers food and access to water as universal rights for all human beings, without distinction or discrimination." We can enact this lesson in our own lives by helping organizations like St. John's Hospice, Meals on Wheels, and Feeding America, which are all organizations that help people to prepare meals with healthy food.
The Old Testament also preaches stories that advocate for rights and responsibilities. In the story of Ruth, Boaz cares for Ruth to make sure she has money to support herself and Naomi. The kindness cycled back to Ruth since she stayed behind to take care of Naomi. The passage says, "Casting herself prostrate upon the ground, she said to him, 'Why should I, a foreigner, be favored with your attention?' Boaz answered her, 'I have had a complete account of what you have done for your mother-in-law after your husband's death. You have left your father and your mother and the land of your birth and have come to people whom previously you did not know.'" In a modern-day connection, Boaz provided Ruth with shelter and safety, which we can do by participating in organizations like Habitat for Humanity and Project Home. These organizations are similar in the fact that their main objective is to provide housing for the homeless. Their actions demonstrate the care and compassion that is a part of our rights and responsibilities as humans. Postnatal apostolic exhortation, Chris Fideli's Laches also discusses the topic of human rights and how we should look out for the rights of not only ourselves but others around us. No matter how we differ, we are all children of God and should help each other maintain and defend each other's rights. This idea is touched upon in the quote. Once again, we find ourselves before many persons, our sisters and brothers, whose fundamental rights are being violated, owing to their exceedingly great capacity for endurance and to clear injustice of certain civil law, the right to life and integrity, the right to a house and to work, the right to family and responsible parenthood, the right to participation in public and political right, the right to freedom of conscience, and practice of religion.
Through rights and responsibilities, we are taught the important lesson to both give and educate to people in need so they do not suffer anymore. Proverbs chapter 31, verses 6 through 7 say, "Give strong drink to anyone who is perishing, and wine to the embittered. When they drink, they will forget their misery, and think no more of their troubles." An organization that is a great example of this is the 1 Million Wells Project. They not only install wells, but they educate the people in need on water safety and how they can install wells at a low cost. They are aiming for what is called the snowball effect, meaning they want the people in the villages that they help to go forward and teach their neighbors. The encyclical letter Laudato Si connects to the same idea of helping others in need in order to provide everyone the opportunity to drink clean water. Yet access to safe drinkable water is a basic and universal human right, since it is essential to human survival. and as such is a condition for the exercise of other human rights. Our world has a grave social debt towards the poor who lack access to drinking water because they are denied the right to a life consistent with their inalienable dignity. This debt can be paid partly by an increase in funding to provide clean water and sanitary services among the poor. This idea is again emphasized throughout this letter and shows the importance of access to the basic human rights.
Under the Catholic social teaching, Rights and Responsibilities, we are responsible to make sure everyone's human dignity is protected. The organizations mentioned throughout are the real-life examples how people are living out the Catholic ideals. Our human rights and responsibilities are seen as valuable in the Church, and therefore it is our duty to fulfill them.